Today's episode is brought to you by Malwarebytes Premium Security. Protect your computers and devices from cyber attacks 24/7 with Malwarebytes Premium Security. And go to malwarebytes.com/lock and code for an exclusive offer. That's malwarebytes.com/lock-and-code.
If you were to go and buy a can of Spam at the store, there's a price tag in front of it. But Instacart is exclusively e-commerce. DoorDash is exclusively e-commerce. So those are a common thread. They can get away with changing prices at a moment's notice.
This is Lock and Code, a Malwarebytes podcast. I'm your host, David Ruiz. Our main story today is about one man's attempt to outsmart surveillance pricing. Surveillance pricing is the money-making practice to collect so much data about you that not only are your ads hyper-targeted, but so are your prices. For instance, maybe a travel agency learns that you're visiting their website on a Mac computer instead of a PC, and they've learned that Mac users tend to spend more money on hotels, so you get recommended more expensive stays. Or maybe an office supplier collects your IP address when you visit their website, and they've already done the math to realize that based on your rough physical location, you don't have a feasible alternative to shop from. So they charge you more for the same items as someone who lives somewhere else. Or maybe you're looking up college prep courses for your kid, but because of your zip code, you're expected to pay $1,000 more for the exact same course as someone else in a different zip code. This is surveillance pricing, and all these examples are real. In 2012, the Wall Street Journal reported that the travel booking site Orbitz showed Mac users pricier hotel options than PC users because the company had determined that Mac users on average spend 30% more a night on hotels. That same year, the Wall Street Journal again reported that the website for Staples, staples.com, showed higher prices to website visitors who lived farther away physically from a competitor like Office Depot. And in 2015, the reporting outfit ProPublica revealed that customers in certain zip codes were shown higher prices for college test prep courses offered by the company Princeton Review. As the investigation found, if customers, quote, type some zip codes into the company's website, they are offered the Princeton Review's premier course for as little as $6,600. For other zip codes, the same course costs as much as $8,400. One unexpected effect of the company's geographic approach to pricing is that Asians are almost twice as likely to be offered a higher price than non-Asians, end quote. What's important to remember about these surveillance pricing examples, which sound an awful lot like pricing discrimination examples, is that they're all at least a decade old. And what was newsworthy in 2012 has become almost common practice today. Target reportedly charged more for televisions in its app when users were physically in a Target parking lot. Home Depot reportedly charged customers in affluent neighborhoods less. Delta Airlines once announced to the investors that the company would start differentiating prices based on customers' personal information, a plan they later abandoned. And yet, you will find countless videos online on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube that claim that if you reserve flight tickets from another location or by changing your IP address using a VPN, you could potentially see lower prices. Thankfully, someone has done a lot of work to try to find some truth. On the YouTube channel, Chris, the producer, video journalist Chris Parr ran an experiment into trying to outsmart surveillance pricing, and it included creating a new persona, hiring a real-life actor, and making purchases via drone over a wealthy, unmapped neighborhood. Today, to help us understand his experiment into surveillance pricing and what he found, we're speaking with Chris Parr, also known as Chris, the producer. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. Excellent intro. For those listening, he does that all in one go. It's very impressive.
Hell yeah, we're keeping that in. We are so excited to have you on the show here. I saw your video on this. I saw your experiment and immediately had to reach out, right? And so I'm not going to waste any time here. You have this insane experiment. I want to find out so much about it. I want to start the episode by jumping right into this investigation. Broadly speaking, what did you do and how did you do it?
You described it as me trying to outsmart surveillance pricing. I don't think I'm smart enough to do that, but I did want to, I wanted to stress test it essentially.
Yeah.
Most of my videos I do it's kind of like a video essay, but I want to push the boundaries and put myself into this. There's so many crazy things about our world. This surveillance pricing thing is just so pervasive in everybody's life. And it's been covered in various places, but I had only just learned about it and I felt a little bit naive. So I felt like me as a non-technical person putting this surveillance pricing system to the test would be an interesting experiment. So, broadly speaking, I guess that's what I did.
I wanted to start on your first stage here where you're understanding that you kind of have to have a fresh start with your data, right? There's so much about you online already that you can't really erase that. So if you're going to stress test surveillance pricing, you're going to have to create someone new. There's too much about you already. So just lead me down the process of what it meant to create someone new, to create a new data stream to test.
I think I'm 33 years old now. I'm at the age where I forget my age. You know, so there's 33 years of data on me that exists. If I were to start giving it different data, it's going to be borderline irrelevant. So I figured I have to give myself a fresh start. So ultimately, I wanted to get a credit card so I could make purchases with a new credit card. If I want to hide my identity, there is a loophole in the state of Wyoming where I can actually hire somebody, a registered agent, they call it, to create an LLC for you. So I am now the proud owner of a Wyoming LLC, but I paid somebody to set it up. There's a registered agent I think it's called Northwest Agents or something. So my address is in Wyoming, and that allows me to get a credit card without having my name on it. Then I need something to make a purchase on. In these experiments, I'm doing them all. I'm making purchases online. That's where surveillance pricing is most prevalent right now, which we can get into. Yeah. It's starting to pop up in retail stores as well. But right now, at least in my experience, surveillance pricing is on e-commerce sites.
Yeah. I
went to Walmart. I got the cheapest possible smartphone, which I had no idea they make smartphones that cost $20. Did you know that?
No, I saw that your phone was $19 or something. I was like, oh, yes. Oh, okay. There you go.
And you know what? When I started using it, when I activated it, it was actually pretty good. Eventually, I turned on all of the tracking stuff. I opted into I wanted this thing to track me.
Yeah.
Right. So as days went by, the phone definitely significantly slowed down. But right away, it was kind of amazing how well it worked for a $20 smartphone. It looks like an Android phone, or it is an Android phone, but it looks like an iPhone and works fairly well.
I want to know more, because it's super fun, about the Wyoming LLC and what the name of it is, because it'll also help us talk about the alleged persona, right? I don't even know how to mention it, but who this phone belongs to in shorthand.
Yes. So I spent an absurdly long time brainstorming names for this new LLC. And I wanted it to embody somebody that their intent to purchase looks different than it actually is. Mm-hmm. There is a great character on the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia named Frank Reynolds, played by Danny DeVito. He is a total bum. He is doing ridiculous things and looks like he lives in the dumpster out back from the bar. Little do you know, he actually owns the bar, and I'm pretty sure he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
So he was kind of the perfect, that's what I wanted. I wanted to look different than I actually am. to data brokers and to these companies that are using surveillance pricing. So I named the LLC Frank Reynolds LLC. That is a real company in the state of Wyoming. You can look it up, but you will not see my name on it. You will see a different registered agent's name.
So now we have Frank Reynolds and Frank Reynolds' phone, his $20 smartphone. And because surveillance pricing is so pervasive from what we know about it, right? We're being tracked in so many ways. I wanted to also understand how you approached even turning on Frank Reynolds' phone, right? Because if I was running this experiment, I would be worried that if I turn on Frank Reynolds' phone in my actual home where I live, I would somehow, some way, a data broker would start to associate, oh no,
I think
that's just David. That's just David. He just got a second phone. He's being a weirdo, but he's got a second phone. So tell me how you approached, I guess, like siloing Frank Reynolds' data.
It was my assumption that like if you don't have very much money, you probably will get charged less. We can get into this a little bit more later. So I went to the lowest income zip code in Minnesota. I should do a search on what the lowest income zip code is in the US, but I was going to keep it to Minnesota. It's where I live. It actually ended up being just across the river from where I live, closer to downtown Minneapolis. So I went there. I parked outside of a great breakfast spot called Hard Times Cafe. And I figured if I were to unbox this phone and activate it there, the only data that anybody has on Frank Reynolds is that they have a really cheap smartphone in a low-income neighborhood in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So that's where I wanted to start.
Yeah. And then what actually happened once you turned on that phone with the first purchase you made, right? Because I think that's a really strong assumption to make. Hey, there's only 2 data points that exist at the time the phone turns on. 1, it's a cheap phone. They know that. 2, I live in a zip code with a low income, right? And so I felt the same way. I would assume, okay, that means maybe lower prices.
Yeah, I mean I naively, that's what I assumed as well. I mean, actually I kind of skimmed past this in the video, but there were quite a bit of steps to like opting into all that location and like app tracking stuff. But also like I had to make a Gmail account. So I made the Gmail, Frank Reynolds is my actual name at gmail.com. And then I used that to create an Uber account. I made an Instacart account. I made a DoorDash account. I made accounts on all these middlemen essentially to purchase things on the phone. So one of the first tests I did was like, I'm just going to buy diapers. I had seen online that surveillance pricing is particularly common with like parents of young children. I am a parent of a young child, and I can tell you that I'm significantly more desperate as a consumer than I was before having a child. I don't know if you have children.
Do not have
David.
kids. We do want kids, and it's cool to learn that is what will be facing me.
That is down the pipeline for sure. Like I have this other human being to take care of. I am willing to pay more for certain things. I'll admit it, but I don't want, that's evil, right? Nobody would charge you more for diapers, would they? So I went through Instacart. I went on a Target from the exact same Target and went to purchase a box of Pampers diapers, the same box of Pampers diapers on both my phone and Frank Reynolds' new $20 track phone. It ended up being $6 cheaper on my phone. Why is that? I have absolutely no idea. Is that the price that they give you when you have no data? Is the higher Frank Reynolds price? I don't know. Honestly, like the theme of the video is like, I don't know why these prices are the way they are. We have theories as to why they are, but like, nobody has gone on the record from these companies saying how they determine these prices. So anyway, it was $6 more expensive on Frank Reynolds' phone.
What I really appreciate about what you've just said about how we just don't know, and the example in particular, right, is that your entire experiment, I think, has been designed against a black box, right? It's like, how do I test what I don't know? I don't even mean that like most tests are what we don't know. That's what it is, right? But this is like, how do I test what I can't see? How do I don't even know what my variables are. I don't know what my restrictions are. I don't know what my parameters are. And so I really enjoy that when you got that first result, right? Frank Reynolds' diapers were more expensive than yours. You took it another step forward and you decided, hey, I actually have to add even more data to Frank Reynolds. Frank Reynolds has to become a data stream. And what you did here is you hired someone. So tell me about this entire process.
Yes. So, my thought process was I am not necessarily the best person to become Frank Reynolds. Like I make videos, like I don't know exactly what to do to like game the system, right? Like I can try the best I can, but like what if a professional did that? And so I made a Craigslist post seeking an improv actor who could essentially become Frank Reynolds. That would be the person, right? Like they can embody this character, and I'm just going to give them all of the things that I just set up, the credit card, the phone, and set them loose. So I found a guy named Comrade Tripp, who is an excellent comedian in Minneapolis. And he was fortunately willing to do this.
Okay, so Comrade Tripp, real name, right? From what I know, Comrade Tripp.
I think. I don't know.
Right. He could be lying to us.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to trick the data brokers. I just also want to know, what did you tell him? Did it make sense to him? Because I think in the way that you said you just learned about surveillance pricing a couple of weeks ago, I think everyone's just learning about surveillance pricing, every day, because it is this shadowy thing, but it is so enormous. So I'm curious, what was his impression? And was he just like, yeah, I'm game, dude. I don't care. I'm like, let's go. How did he respond?
Yeah, Comrade Tripp is super interesting. First of all, it was kind of difficult to get a hold of him. He admittedly said, like, I don't answer my phone. I'm slow to respond to my email, whatever. Amazing. That's when I knew I had the guy.
Yeah.
And as far as like giving him information or direction, in a maybe self-conscious way, was like, maybe we could talk on the phone and like, I can explain myself. I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. Like, what am I getting myself into? Because from his perspective, he's just like communicating with this person that he doesn't know. And like, I want him to feel comfortable and know what he's going into. He just straight up was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'll meet you at the park. And then once we got to the park, and I actually met him, when we were sitting in the car together, I did, give him some direction. Like, I want you to become somebody who has a super low intent to buy anything. That was the general direction. And then another note I gave him was like, I want you to physically go places, like your phone is going to track your location, but I also want you to like interact digitally with it as well. So like you can search things. I really wanted to get both the physical points, but also like digitally interact. So both physical and digital interactions that could signal that you have a low intent to purchase anything.
I think that this direction here of having a low intent to buy is a really great frame because, as I said at the top, right, some folks think that they can defeat surveillance pricing by, again, manipulating one piece of data, right? Like, oh, I'm going to change the IP address. I'm going to change my location. I'm going to flip a toggle. And this experiment is run on something very different, which is not even, I wouldn't even call it a piece of data, right? I'd call it an interpretation of data, which is the intent to buy. And so I'm so curious here, how did Comrade Tripp as Frank Reynolds show a low intent to buy? Like, what even is that?
I don't know what worked, but this is what he did. He took the bus, he downloaded the bus app, which like I take the bus and the light rail here. I use the MTA app. He downloaded the app, but he didn't actually buy a ticket. And then the bus drivers are pretty chill here.
Yeah.
They just let him get on and off.
Oh, yeah.
Literally just in the first 10 minutes, he downloaded an app and then didn't make a purchase on it, but somehow got from A to B. So like, I don't know if they're capturing that and interpreting the data as low intent to purchase, but like in my eyes, it seems as if they maybe would.
Right.
He then went to McDonald's. He downloaded the McDonald's app. And I think he was trying to buy something super cheap, but it wasn't on the So like at McDonald's at that location, you can't just like walk up and order from a person.
Right.
They have like a machine.
Yeah.
And he was trying to buy like a 30-cent drink or something, but it like wasn't available on the thing, and it wasn't available on the app. And the reason he knows that is because he Google searched what is the cheapest thing to buy at McDonald's. Yeah. So then he just went up to the counter and asked for water. It was hot. It was like 95 degrees that day, and we were both just profusely sweating.
Yeah. Both of those I think are so good. Like you said, if we have to imagine a surveillance machinery that can pick up everything we're doing, something like downloading a municipal transit authority app, right? To be like, I'm going to buy a bus ticket. Like that's such an intent you would consider. The only person who's going to download that app is someone who's going to put money on that app, right? And then to be like, no, I'm not going to put money on it. And also, by the way, my geolocation shows I took a bus. Like, I did the thing. And then the gall to walk into a McDonald's, to download the McDonald's app, and then to have an absence of data, right? Of purchase data. There's no credit card that shows a purchase. There's nothing. There's no receipt. Again, we're talking about something we can't peer into. So we're making assumptions here. But that to me would show an extraordinary restraint, right? I walked into a McDonald's. I even downloaded the app. My Google search does reveal that I'm looking for the cheapest thing to buy in McDonald's. And my geolocation shows I kind of just lingered in there for a while, and then I made no purchase.
He was in there for a while too.
Those are impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was standing there for like 15 minutes trying to figure this out.
What else did he do? Is there anything else that he did that we can talk about?
Yeah. I mean, he spent hours, walking around. Also, the place that he was walking around was significant. You'd have to ask Comrade what exactly his thought process here was, but like he went to Dinkytown, which is the neighborhood where the University of Minnesota is located, generally populated by college students. Gotcha. I don't know about you, but when I was in college, I was extremely frugal. Like I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Well, still,
right.
David, I still am.
As soon as you start your first class, you're tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Yeah, that's how it works.
So extremely cheap. So I don't know if that was intentional, but that's where he basically walked around for hours and hours. He went into like Starbucks and asked what the cheapest thing in Starbucks is. It turns out it is a cup of applesauce, which is like $2.50. And he's like, okay, forget that. Like $2.50 for an applesauce cup.
No way.
He went to Great Clips. I don't know why he went to Great Clips. He's a bald man. I think that might be his self-depreciating humor. Good on you, Comrade.
Gosh, that's funny.
Actually, he went into some like higher end stores and asked around and didn't make any purchases. The only purchase he made was he went into Target and he bought a 39-cent banana. And then he gave it to some unhoused people that were on the street outside. That was the only purchase he made in like 4 or 5 hours.
So much of this experiment, we just have to give credit where credit's due, that Comrade Tripp sounds like a genius. Like he's some sort of savant that if you, I think, ask most people to do the same experiment. I mean, if you ask me, right? And again, we've done an episode about surveillance pricing before. And if you told me, hey, show low intent to buy, never in a million years could I have produced the wisdom of let me walk into a haircut place as a bald man. Like, come on. Like there's, geez. What a joke. How do you find out how to tell a joke like that? That's amazing.
He is so underrated, man. He is, and like, just so people know, like probably people listening to this maybe have not heard of Comrade. He is like I say this in the best way possible. He's like a cringe humor guy. He makes things cringy on himself. And it's hilarious. He's an excellent stand-up performer as well. But
dude, shout out Comrade.
So shout out Comrade, yeah.
At this point, right, you've collected some data from Comrade as Frank Reynolds, right? And so I wanted to do a check-in here, right? What did you find out from this part of the experiment? Did you order things again, and did you find price differentials? Yes.
So we went to buy an Uber. We went to order an Uber from where we were sitting to the Mall of America, just because like the Mall of America was like the first thing to pop up and I wasn't feeling super creative in the moment.
Yeah.
So we both ordered the exact same Uber at that exact same moment. Mm-hmm. And Frank Reynolds' price was cheaper. You'll have to refer back to the video. I think it was 11% cheaper.
Wow.
It was a few dollars cheaper from where we were sitting to the airport, which was like a 20-minute ride or so. So again, I can't tell you like what worked,
Right.
but like something worked where it made Frank Reynolds, and God, I keep saying like Frank Reynolds, it's this phone cheaper than my phone. Yeah. And I don't know what it was, but yeah, like you can attribute Comrade's genius to that, I think, for sure.
I love how you caught yourself here where you're saying like Frank Reynolds and you're like, wait, I need to remind myself it's a phone.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's weird. I put myself in a weird situation.
It is bizarre, but I actually hadn't even caught that myself, that for the companies doing this, for data brokers who are powering it and for the companies who are doling out the prices, a phone is a person.
Yeah, sure.
That's it. Like the person is just the meat that can make the purchase, but the phone is like, that's the surface, you know, like we're just pulling levers on our side. That's how we're interpreted. At this point in the experiment, right, you get some price differentials. Like you said, some prices were lower, but you actually went another step forward, which I thought was really great. And you alluded to this a little earlier, where you previously thought if you went to a low-income neighborhood, the prices would be lower. And this time, you kind of flipped it. You went to an affluent neighborhood, a wealthy neighborhood. Tell me about this. Tell me about your experiment to, I'd say, just go beyond the wall.
Yeah. I thought if you were to be perceived low income and then you were suddenly high income, companies would want you as a customer, so they'd give you a better deal. I can't definitively tell you that is correct, but like that is the motivation behind what I was about to do.
Yeah.
I have history with a city in Minnesota called North Oaks, Minnesota. It is, from what I know, it is the only private municipality in the country of the United States.
What does that mean?
I know.
What is a private municipality?
So it is a private city. You can't go there unless you live there, or you are invited, or you are contracted to clean somebody's house or do road maintenance. Yikes. Or something. So they don't have gates. It's kind of complicated, but like the residents there, I think at one point they did have gates. You know, it was like a gated city, but they didn't. I think they just didn't like having gates, so they removed the gates. But it's functionally like it's gated.
Yeah.
So city of North Oaks, it does require a little bit of explaining, but like a few months ago, it's also the only city that's not on Google Maps. You know, there's neighborhoods, there's private neighborhoods, you know, in almost every major city that aren't on Google Maps. Those are gated. Yep. Like a Google car just cannot enter those. Yeah. So they're not on Google Maps Street View. This is the only entire city that is not on Google Maps Street View is North Oaks, Minnesota. Wow. So I thought like a loophole would be to fly a drone. If I launched a drone from the public street outside of it, where I am legally allowed to be, and then fly it up into the airspace above North Oaks, which is North Oaks doesn't own that. Nobody owns that. You know, that's regulated by the FAA. If I were to fly into that and have my little 360 camera below it, I could put North Oaks onto Google Maps once and for all. So that was a different video. And frankly, like, you know, in retrospect, that is what introduced me to like all of this surveillance stuff. Yeah. Because I learned that like Google Maps is kind of like part of the surveillance state that we live in. Right. So like, I don't necessarily have regrets doing it, but like it was a big learning experience for me, and it has informed every video that I've made since then. Wow. And almost everything I've done since then. I knew that from the perspective of data collectors, if I were to just like be in North Oaks, or not me, but my Frank Reynolds phone be in North Oaks, like that is a strong indicator that you are high income. Yeah. Because you either have to live there or you have to be invited by somebody that lives there. North Oaks is also the wealthiest city in Minnesota. The average home price is, I think, $1 million, which like doesn't sound like a lot, but in Minnesota, that's like a very nice house. Yeah. I basically recreated what I did a few months ago, but instead of a 360 camera, I attached my phone to the bottom of the drone and then remotely controlled it from outside of the city. to make purchases.
To make purchases. So the fact that there's an unmapped city is so, it's almost like an old, like a tale, like it's El Dorado and it's rich, like with a city of gold that has never been found.
Yes, for sure.
And I love that. I think it's so worth explaining.
And it's a super cool place. Like, honestly, North Oaks they pride themselves in like being close to nature. They have trails all throughout it. I wouldn't know because I haven't really, you can't access them. Yeah. I just know that from reading about it. Yeah. But it was an attempt at becoming like a utopia, but ended up being like a kind of a exclusive high income place to live. I used to do a YouTube series on interesting communities in the US, and a lot of places like they start off as like an attempt to become a utopia. No place is a utopia.
No, that's not.
It's impossible, you know, like just enjoy your life, man.
Right. It's like, it's at this point, it feels inherent to the definition of the word, you know, like fantasy, you know, it can't be captured. So let's set the stage again here for everything that's been going on. Right. So we have Frank Reynolds. He's been created as a phone. He has a new data trail, as you kind of created with Comrade Trip. And now, as you've said, you're thinking there might be a world in which if a data broker determines someone was previously low income and they have now instead moved to a high income place, that they're going to maybe reward them. They're going to treat them a little different through surveillance pricing. And so you're going to test that. You can test that in this really crazy way, which is you're going to attach your phone to your drone and you're going to fly the drone in the airspace of North Oaks, the most affluent city, the only private city, you know, not just in Minnesota, but in the United States. And you're just going to make some purchases from there. And so help me understand. You flew your drone in there. It's being, as I understand, remote controlled from another like videographer or a friend, and you're making purchases. Tell me what happened.
Yeah. So I had my friend KJ come with me just to like, when I fly drones, like I get so stressed out, and like to manage, you know, 2 different phones and like making these purchases, making sure that the experiment is good, whatever. My friend KJ came with and helped me with just everything. So I used his phone for the other phone to do the test on as well. So we ordered White Castle. Well, we didn't actually order it. We loaded it into the cart. Yeah. A Crave case. It was just a regular Crave case, cheese sliders, 30 of them. Yeah. And the cost on Frank Reynolds' phone, which was above North Oaks, was 19% cheaper. You know, I'll have to refer to the video, but it was several dollars cheaper than literally just a few hundred feet away on the highway outside of North Oaks. Again, I don't know like explicitly why that was, but like it was cheaper inside of North Oaks. And like to the data collectors, they don't know that this phone is floating in the air, like 200 feet in the air. They just see a geolocation on it. And we ordered White Castle through DoorDash.
That actually leads to my next question, which was about like, what did we learn from this? And it's hard to learn some stuff, right? Because like you said, we don't know what led to what. We know the result is that some prices were lower, some were higher, but we don't know what caused them. We don't even know if we're like tilting at windmills here, you know, saying, oh, this data maybe created that. And it's like, actually, no, that's imaginary, right? And so what I did want to ask is the companies that you did see changes from, like DoorDash, like Instacart, I believe, with the diapers, with, I think, Ubers, right, which you saw price differentials with companies like Uber, DoorDash, Instacart. Is there anything that's connecting those companies? Is there any pattern? Like why those companies?
I have a pretty good idea for Uber. You never know what price you're going to get for an Uber ride. I think like the easy answer, and the one I'm going to tell you, is like, it just makes sense for them. And it's easy to get away with because I don't think many people are like creating a new identity to test prices against it. But like with, you know, if you were to order, or if you were to go and buy a can of Spam at the store, like there's a price tag in front of it. Mm-hmm. But like Instacart is exclusively e-commerce. DoorDash is exclusively e-commerce. So like, I mean, those are a common thread. Like they can get away with changing prices at a moment's notice. You can't do that at the grocery store yet, David.
And they want to, right? Like there are plans.
I believe there are plans in Walmart and tests in different locations where they're using digital price tags. Yeah. They claim that it's it's easier to just pay for that installation. And then if they want to change the price on something, they don't have to go through and change thousands of price tags. They can just do it digitally. But like, my thought is like, if the opportunity is there where they can increase their margins by 10%, they will do it. And that is the entire foundation of surveillance pricing. If you can do it, they will. So that kind of strayed from your question, but like they're e-commerce platforms exclusively. Like you can't go into a DoorDash. Can you go into a DoorDash?
I don't think so. Right.
Well, then that's my answer.
You mentioned here, right, that if it can increase profit margins, they're going to do it. And that actually relates to something else. There was this like weird hiccup in the first stage of your experiment, right? Where the Frank Reynolds phone actually got a higher price for diapers than you. And I think there's some people who might interpret that and say, oh, surveillance pricing is benefiting me because I got the lower price. And so I actually wanted to ask, like, is that ever true? Who does surveillance pricing actually benefit?
I don't know. And like, you don't know if you're benefiting from it.
Yeah.
Somebody does benefit from it. Yeah. And it is the owners of these major companies because they are making money on this new pricing system. I've seen presentations, upon doing research, I watched several presentations where people that are creating these surveillance pricing software systems are giving presentations to people where they tout revenue increases. And it's like a cool thing. They talk about it like, hell yeah, bro. Like I did this for you. But like it's at the expense of the consumer is what they're not telling you. It's what they're not saying. Those are the people that win. You cannot win. They have a floor. And maybe I found the floor with Frank Reynolds. Probably not, but like that was my goal. They're still winning. I'm not winning, like there is no winning if you're a consumer, sadly.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like a bit of despair, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like the more that people know about this, I think the less likely that it will have a future.
Since your video launched, I was talking to my wife about it. I'm super in the camp of like not using Google as much as I can. Like I don't use Google for searches. I'm trying to remove myself from Gmail. I don't use Google Chrome. I'm trying to like limit my data tracking as much as possible. And I've felt that way for a while. And my wife does the same thing. And after your video came out, I was actually talking to her about it. And she was like, should I actually just start adding a bunch of stuff to my carts? Like, should I just add things to my online shopping carts and then just leave those tabs open forever? Because that might be signaling a low intent to buy. And I was like, well, yeah, let's run a little experiment. And we haven't gotten any results, right? There's nothing that I like that's not a real experiment, but it is changing behavior. It is making me think about it in a different way. And I think you're right here that folks just need to know about it, right? As we were saying, every day someone is learning about this for the first time. And it sucks because it can feel impenetrable. It can feel like, well, I'm never going to win. There's no way for the consumer to win. But there are at least some states that are trying to pass laws to prohibit this stuff. And I think that is benefited by the fact that people know about it. People are complaining about it. So yeah, sometimes we don't have a toggle we can turn on and off to be like, you beat surveillance pricing, like congratulations. Sometimes we just have to talk about it.
Yes. I mean, there's a select few that benefit from it. The vast majority of people do not benefit from this. And the more that people know about, nobody wants this. Like when you find out about this, like, what the hell? I don't want that. Nobody wants this.
Right.
So yeah, while you can feel a bit of despair, like be hopeful. There are people that are fighting the good fight and like, legislatively, but like spread the word. I don't really have an answer for you, but like, I'm glad that you're having me on the podcast to talk about it. That is something. We're doing something.
Yeah. Let's pat ourselves on the back. Chris, I wanted to thank you again so much for coming on today's show, for leading us through this exercise. And just honestly, it is, I think, very difficult, but it's really cool to talk about something that is so opaque. So again, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thank you so much for having me, David. Appreciate it.
To our listeners, we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks. Until then, stay tuned and stay safe. And remember, you can read all our cybersecurity coverage on Malwarebytes Labs at malwarebytes.com/blog. Finally, our intro music is by Kevin MacLeod from incompetech.com, and our outro music is by Woa from unminus.com. Today's show has been edited by our podcast consultant, Eric Johnson at lightningpod.fm. Thank you, folks.